So things have taken a bit of an unexpected turn for the Chiefs after a very ugly start on Monday Night Football. They did get red hot in the second half, notching a clean victory over the Commanders by multiple scores, and there are a ton of takeaways from that game. Lots of good, some concerns as well. I'll break all that down, talk about some injuries to keep eyes on, a fan favorite and much needed player reportedly signing back with the team, and more. But first, how about those? All right, so the Chiefs are still the Chiefs, winning their 5th game out of the last 6 on Monday Night Football last night, moving past the Washington Commanders, who have now lost 3 in a row and fall to 3-5 on the season. The Chiefs, meanwhile, are 5-3, but 3rd in the AFC West at the moment because LA has the same record, plus the tiebreaker over KC after their Week 1 win in Brazil. Then the Broncos, they are actually 6-2, sadly, winning 5 straight after starting the season out 1-2. The Broncos really annoy me right now because they just keep finding ways to win. 13-11 over the Jets. Then they scored 33 points in the fourth quarter against the Giants in a miraculous comeback a couple weeks ago. Then they just demolished the Cowboys, but did lose their top corner in Pat Surtain II for 4 to 6 weeks. That's important context to know because the Chiefs play the Broncos here in a few weeks after Buffalo this upcoming Sunday. Then after that, the Chiefs have their bye. I will digress about the AFC West for now and get back to the Commanders game, but the AFC West is a very tough division right now, and these next few games for the Chiefs will not only be filled with difficult opponents, Bills, Broncos, Colts, but could define the state of the division for better or worse. Speaking of the word worst, last night's game started out as one of the worst I've seen in quite some time. You had 5 drives resulting in 3 turnovers and 2 turnover on downs. So essentially 5 turnovers and 5 drives. That's just nasty. Mike Dana had an INT off of a pass deflected off of Deebo Samuel to give KC the ball, but Mahomes threw an INT with Marshawn Lattimore making a nice play on the ball, left sideline. When Mahomes did let the ball go, Lattimore wasn't even looking his way, but did unfortunately turn his head around as soon as Mahomes let go of that football. From there, it was a turnover on downs for the Commanders after they were stopped just 5 inches short on 4th and 6. This had social media melting down about the spot, but it was very close. Regardless, KC gave them the ball back just 6 plays and 17 yards later when Kelsey had Deebo hold his beer and popped a very catchable ball up into the air, and the veteran linebacker Bobby Wagner hauled it in for an interception. So that was 2 drives, 2 interceptions for the Kansas City Chiefs. 5 plays later, though, thankfully, Mariota took a deep shot to Casper the Friendly Ghost downfield on 4th and 1, which kind of made no sense to me considering Zach Ertz might have been the guy to throw the ball to in the middle of the field there, just a few yards down there. But hey, I'll take that all day, every day. So again, those 5 drives made for a very weird and unproductive 20 minutes of football, but then both teams managed to rattle off successful touchdown drives here. Kelsey made up for that INT by catching passes on back-to-back plays for 42 yards to help get things going. Then, after Rashee Rice took the direct snap and Wildcat and nearly got in, Kareem Hunt finished the job. Scary Terry then helped the Commanders cap off their next drive, making an incredible tiptoe catch on 3rd and 11 that was very frustrating, but very impressive for the score. I was shocked, appalled, whatever word you want to throw in there, to see Chamari Connor in coverage on Terry McLaurin, their wide receiver 1, in such a pivotal moment. 3rd down, Chamari Connor versus Terry McLaurin. No thank you. Thankfully, though, that was essentially all the Commanders would be able to do the rest of the game. The second half was absolutely electric, but did feature a couple of injuries, including one to a key offensive starter. So I'll talk about that. A hopeful player soon to return that just got released by another team, Rice, quote-unquote, accidentally throwing a ball at another player's head, and much more. But first, some of you may not know that back in 2020, I intentionally lost almost 50 pounds as a goal just to get healthier for my family. I mainly did this by eating clean and upping my protein intake. Well, it's hard finding supplements out there without the artificial junk and fillers, which is why I was excited to team up with Transparent Labs as the sponsor of today's video. Their grass-fed whey protein isolate has made it easy for me to hit my protein goals in a clean and healthy way. It contains only a handful of high-quality natural ingredients and no artificial sweeteners, dyes, or fillers. None of the weird stuff, in fact. Plus, each serving delivers 28 grams of protein sourced exclusively from grass-fed cows, which gives you higher quality and more nutritious protein. It helps that it tastes delicious. It's not chalky, You shake it easily. There's nothing left in the corners of the bottom of the shaker or anything like that. And the fact that they have 18 delicious natural flavors helps me to switch things up from time to time. I will say though, the chocolate peanut butter flavor is absolutely fantastic. My favorite. Here's proof. Yup. Good. You see, using pure isolate from Transparent Labs instead of cheap concentrates or blends makes it easier for you to actually digest and absorb the protein. They also have this all third-party tested and informed choice certified for accuracy and safety, so you know exactly what you're putting into your body. Well, if you'd like to try Transparent Labs grass-fed protein for yourself, head down to the description below because for a limited time, Transparent Labs is giving away a free protein starter kit with every grass-fed protein subscription. The kit includes a shaker bottle and a variety pack of 5 single-serving protein pouches of their top flavors so you can find your favorite. So just click the link in the description or scan the QR code so you can get 10% off your order, which will automatically be applied at checkout. Thanks again to Transparent Labs for sponsoring today's video, and with that, let's get back to it. All right, so the second half of this game featured 3 straight touchdown drives for the Chiefs. In fact, most of Mahomes' production, Rashee Rice's production, all came in the second half. So for the Chiefs, you had 3 straight touchdown drives in between 2 Commanders punts. So the Chiefs went 8 plays, 80 yards for a scramble drill touchdown on 4th and goal with Kareem Hunt notching his second score of the evening. Then 8 plays, 75 yards with Travis Kelce catching his 83rd regular season touchdown, tying Priest Holmes for the most total touchdowns in Chiefs franchise history. Then this next drive, it went 13 plays for 94 yards and an epic Rashee Rice touchdown to really put the final nail in the coffin for the Commanders as KC scored 21 unanswered points to make it 28-7. That drive featured 2 penalties on Rice, by the way, 1 for holding, and that negated a nice little 15-yard pitch to the outside Brashard Smith run. Then after a 25-yard catch from Rice, he hit a Commanders defensive back in the head with a football, but an alt angle made it appear like he was trying to throw the ball to the referee that was right in between both of them. I have no idea how Rice didn't see the guy, to be honest. He got flagged for it either way. He did plead his case with the ref and Andy Reid, who pulled him to the sidelines. I don't know, but it was weird. It looked inadvertent upon that other review. But how did you not see the guy right there? Either way, moving on, Rice made up for it with a touchdown at the end of that drive. That was accomplished via an awful mismatch with Bobby Wagner in coverage on Rice, and he just kind of scrambled on an option route to get open for Mahomes. And that was honestly all she wrote. Rice has been on a tear already in his 2 games back, and he's fully integrated into this offense as if he didn't miss a year and a half all last year due to injury in the first 6 games of this season due to suspension. He's already scored 3 touchdowns, but was very close to having 6. One was called back due to a penalty in the red zone against the Raiders, and he almost managed to dive or outstretch across the goal line on a couple more in this Commanders game. Then look at this. Amongst all receivers since his return 2 weeks ago, Rice is second in receptions with 16, tied for first in touchdowns, and is currently on pace for 607 yards and 14 touchdowns by season's end, again after missing the first 6 weeks of the season. It was kind of the Rice and Kelce show last night through the air as Kelce finished with 6 yards more than Rice, catching 6 passes for 99 yards and that touchdown. Kelce is honestly having a fantastic season as well. He's currently second in receiving yards among all tight ends, third in yards after the catch, and on pace for just over 1,000 receiving yards right now by season's end. Not too bad for a quote-unquote washed-up 36-year-old tight end. Now, there were some others who made some plays. Noah Gray had a couple, but missed what could have been a walk-in touchdown pass from Mahomes. Had Noah read the coverage correctly, and instead of the little out route, booking it towards the end zone. Oh well, you live and learn there. Juju Smith-Schuster only had 2 catches, but one of those went for 24 yards. Worthy had 5 catches for 53 yards himself, and all this helped Mahomes end the night with 299 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and those 2 interceptions. Unfortunate with the turnovers, obviously, and Rice fumbled as well, but was able to recover it, so that almost would have been a 3rd turnover. Side note about the fumbles, that is the 8th fumble so far this season that the Chiefs have had happen, yet were able to recover. They are yet to lose a single fumble out of the 8 so far this year. Some fortunate luck that I hope continues. But back to Mahomes. He's now thrown 3 or more touchdown passes in 4 of the last 5 games. And since week 3, Patrick is first in passing yards and passing touchdowns, with the offense as a whole being top 3 in virtually every metric. Now, there are some concerns to touch on, including a key player that got injured in this one and a hopeful return of a fan favorite here very soon. But before I get to that, this Chiefs offense, they are scary right now. They've scored 28 or more in the last 5 games. 37, 28, 30, 31, 28. That hasn't happened in a very long time. And here's how scary this team is right now. Since week 3, they've gone 5-1, as I shared earlier, but the offense is averaging 29 points per game. Meanwhile, the defense, they are allowing just 14 points per game. That is a great winning recipe. And Seth Kaiser put out a recent article on his Substack, and he detailed just how effective this offense has been. He looked back starting at the second half of the Giants game until now, and he removed any drive that featured garbage time, kneel downs, or backups, and the Chiefs offense is scoring on nearly 66% of their drives right now. Out of 41 drives with those parameters I just mentioned, KC has scored 22 touchdowns and 5 field goals. That is absolutely electric, and the offense is all the way back. Now, the O-line in this game did struggle, especially early on. It was a bit concerning. Jalen Moore gave up a sack very early and had 3 total pressures on the night. I feel like that all happened pretty early for Moore, but it was Mike Caliendo who also struggled. He had the worst pass blocking grade on the line and gave up a team-high 5 pressures. Caliendo was obviously filling in for the injured Trey Smith, who was inactive for this game as he deals with a low back issue. They called it back spasms. Then, of course, we know Jalen Moore has been filling in for Josh Simmons, who is away from the team dealing with a personal family matter. I do think missing both Simmons and Trey Smith has been somewhat problematic for the O-line, but such is life. When you are down a couple of starters, you gotta have that next man up mentality and figure it out. Well, figure it out they did, because Mahomes, he had to scramble on a season-high 28.2% of his dropbacks, but he still hung 28 points. The offense as a whole, hung 28 points on the Commanders once all was said and done, and I'm not really sure you can ask for much more, especially when they only scored 7. Now, regarding Josh Simmons, Chiefs owner Clark Hunt spoke before the game, little presser with the media, and shared that he feels pretty good about Simmons returning here sometime in the future, and reiterated that they've had good communication with him. The expectation per sources of Nate Taylor and ESPN, remember he's tied into Adam Schefter, is that Simmons should be returning. The expectation again is for him to return around the bye week, which is only in 2 weeks. So hopefully that is the case, and the return for Simmons is very near. I also hope the return of Isaiah Pacheco will be near as well, because near the end of the game, he took a shot to the knee. It did not look good, to say the least, but his ACL is intact. It's still an MCL sprain, though, and it's going to be a week-to-week injury, and that was reported earlier today per Tom Pelissero. So depending on the severity of this MCL sprain, Pacheco could miss 1 week, 2, 3, 4. It's really tough to know right now, especially when we don't know the severity of the sprain. Is it grade 1, grade 2? We don't know. I'm definitely wishing him the best. Hopefully he can return here sooner rather than later. So what do you do in the running back room with Pacheco out? I think the most obvious answer here is in-house. Dress out Elijah Mitchell and then increase the workload of Brashard Smith a bit. I like the idea of giving Brashard Smith more opportunities if they think he can handle it. And then we have no idea what Elijah Mitchell can offer because he's been inactive this entire time. I'm not going to hold my breath. Even if he dresses out, maybe he barely gets any work in at all. But I would think that is what they try first. Sure, would love a trade for Breece Hall, from the Jets. That would be awesome. It would take this already explosive offense to another level entirely. But if you're going to make a trade, I really think the need for defensive line help is still greater than the need for a running back, even if Pacheco is sidelined for a few weeks. Speaking of the defense, they did a great job as a whole, allowing just 7 points all game, as I've mentioned, especially after giving up 0 points the week prior to the Raiders. I know the Commanders had their QB2 in with Marcus Mariota. Laramie Tunzel, their left tackle, also didn't finish the game, and even though he made a couple of incredible catches, Terry McLaurin didn't finish out the game either after, in some capacity, he re-aggravated that quad injury he's been dealing with since week 3. Still, though, shout out to Mike Dana for the INT. He also had a key sack on 3rd and 11 later on in the game. Karl Loftus led the night with 9 pressures. Minihue was next with 4, but they seem to be this close to sacking Mariota 10 times. He's a sneaky little guy, I'll tell you that. Now, look at this. This is interesting. Chris Jones was credited with 0 pressures on the night. It was a bit surprising to me because it's the first time that he was held without a pressure since the 2021 wildcard game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, he's getting doubled a lot, and that opens things up for others, but that is why they need D-line help desperately. Chris Jones is out there playing almost every single snap, and they need someone else that can win aside from him, and then obviously George Karlaftis here and there as well. Well, shoot, maybe they get Mike Pennel back here very soon. Defensive tackle Mike Pennel. He is more of a nose tackle, a run stuffer than anything else, but the Bengals just released him today, so go get that guy. Since he's a vested veteran, he won't have to clear waivers and already knows the system. Chris Jones said recently they need to do whatever they can to get his brother Mike Pennel back, and now Pennell's a free agent, so it's definitely possible. The question is, would Pennel be willing to return? I think he was frustrated with how the team handled things after roster cutdowns. He seemed frustrated, and that's why he moved on elsewhere, signing with the Bengals rather than the Chiefs practice squad. So that's the big question for me. Would Mike Pennel be willing to return? If so, please do whatever you can to get this man back because he would obviously help this D-line. Well, it does seem like Mike Pennel is indeed going to be signing back to the roster or the practice squad. Not sure which one yet. I think it's going to happen tomorrow. But you have Bob Fesco of 610 Sports Radio and Jason Anderson of Sports Radio 810, 2 hosts in the Kansas City area, plus a couple others that have messaged me saying, hey, Mike Pennel is happening. And here's why that is a good thing for the Chiefs D-line. If you look at Derek Nottie, I don't want to pile on the guy, but Derek Nottie has really struggled so far this season. He's got one of the worst grades on the entire defense, one of the worst run defense grades on the entire defense. Meanwhile, Mike Pennel, much higher grades all around. It's just going to raise the floor, okay? This isn't going to be a guy getting a bunch of pressure on the quarterback or anything like that, but he will definitely help you against the run, and that is something the Chiefs are like 23rd in the league right now at stopping the run, so that's going to help. Love to see that. But even if Mike Pennel does return, they still need to make a move for another defensive lineman prior to the trade deadline that is, very, very close. I think it's a week away. The defense as a whole did a great job last night, though, yes, they blew a coverage here or there, and I feel like they allowed 5, 6, 7 plays of 17, 20, 22, 24 yards. But when you hold a team to just 7 points, I'm not going to complain too much about it. Shamari Connor did allow 6 receptions on 8 targets, and while he is still frustrating at times, Washington ran a lot of hurry-up offense, which didn't allow the Chiefs to sub as much as they would have liked. So you got to deal with that as best you can. And someone on defense to watch is Nick Bolton. He had a pretty decent game, but outside of Pacheco, Andy Reid mentioned Nick Bolton as well, saying they both banged up their knee a bit. I think Bolton's is more minor than Pacheco's, and he might not miss any time, but he was visibly in pain at one point in the game after making a tackle. So that's definitely one to watch. A very key player in that defense, wears the green dot and kind of runs the ship over there like Mahomes to a certain degree on offense. Something else to watch is going to be special teams because there was once again a lot of flags. There was 3 flags on a kickoff or a punt return, all on the Chiefs. Jack Cochran, Jeffrey Bossa, and I think Chris Roland Wallace all got flagged. And I don't love the undisciplined nature of that phase of the ball and all the penalties negating positive returns for the team. It was low-key a sloppy night for the Chiefs in general. They had 9 penalties for nearly 100 yards. That was triple the Commanders and something that needs to be cleaned up ASAP. On the subject of special teams, though, I do want to give Harrison Butker some props here because he had a great kickoff that resulted in a muff with the ball bouncing out of bounds around the 2-yard line. And he also made all 4 of his extra points. In fact, since missing the first extra point against the Detroit Lions 3 games ago, Butker has been perfect since that one miss. He's made 13 field goals and or extra points in a row now. That's a definite positive, and it seems like he's shaking off whatever yips or struggles he's had early on in the first half of the season. Now, to be fair, he's only had to kick 2 field goals in the last 3 games because the Chiefs have been absolutely elite in the red zone and converting on short yardage situations because of Kareem Hunt. And that obviously results in them getting 7 rather than 3. But hey, credit to Harrison Butker for the improvement there. And since I mentioned the red zone, here's how good they've been. The Chiefs starters are 8 for 8 in the red zone over the last 2 weeks. Absolutely awesome to see. Kareem Hunt's going to get a game ball for me because he scored 2 of them in the red zone. Then I'm going to give a game ball to Rashee Rice as well for his dominant performance. And honestly, despite the 2 interceptions, you could give Mahomes one as well, because the way he extended plays with all the pressure he was facing all night, found open receivers time and time again, was just elite stuff out there, at least to me. On defense, I'm going to give one to Mike Dana for the sack and the INT, and on special teams, we're going to give one to Harrison Butker. But hey, let me know who you would give game balls to, and also make sure to let me know your biggest takeaways from this game as the Chiefs now turn their attention to the Buffalo Bills for Week 9. It's a short week for the Chiefs. They also got to travel to Buffalo. That's going to be a tough road game indeed, but a very fun one. Anyway, more on that game later this week, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?